Welcome to Michigan in Focus. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for the Center Square. Scott McClellan is the Center Square's Michigan correspondent, and he did a deep dive story, and he did so by sniffing around in my backyard here in Flint. Scott, you wound up with a story about Flint Mayor Sheldon Neeley, and give us a little bit of background on this, because this gets kind of interesting. You pursued several avenues and came across a couple of dead ends, but then you hit pay dirt.
So I got a tip that Flint Mayor Sheldon Neeley was driving a city-issued car that was not included in his contract. So the accusation was that the mayor was taking more public resources than were given through his contract. And at a Wednesday city council meeting, 6th Ward council member Tanya Burns said that Neeley was driving a vehicle registered to the police department that was not in his benefits package. So I asked the city, and they gave me a statement this week saying that they, quote, identified credible threats and has assigned a vehicle to the mayor's office. They went on to say that political opponents of the mayor will continue to try to distract from the good work happening in the city of Flint, but we remain steadfast, focused on improving municipal services and quality of life for Flint residents.
Okay, well, let me cut you off there a little bit, Scott. When they say credible threats, they're talking about threats of violence against the mayor of Flint?
That's what they said.
Okay.
Yeah, they did not say when the threats happened, which is honestly my biggest question. And
so giving him a city vehicle somehow thwarts that threat when one can go to Google Earth and see a picture of the very same vehicle in the mayor's driveway?
Exactly. I don't understand how being given a city-issued vehicle makes him more protected. I'm not really sure. But my biggest question is when these threats happened. So I obtained a picture of the vehicle in question. It's a black Chevy Equinox all-wheel drive. I have a picture of that vehicle parked in front of the mayor's house. That picture was taken in May. However, I went back to January of 2022 and got a picture of the same vehicle parked in front of Neeley's home. So, I mean, did these threats happen more than a year ago? And I don't know. So I filed records requests seeking Neeley's contract to see if he did indeed have a vehicle allowance in there. And while I was at it, I also filed a request for all Flint employees who drive a city-issued car. But Flint's legal department delayed my requests by 10 business days. So we're going to have to wait a couple weeks.
Okay, well, we've both been in the game long enough where we know that's a pretty extensive period of time, right?
It's a contract. They could pull it in 30 seconds to a minute and give it to me, but they chose not to.
And did they give you a legitimate reason, or did they give you a reason at all?
No, they said they had to search a ton of documents. So I'm not sure how hard it is to pull up a city contract of the mayor. But so some might say that we're down in the weeds. So why does this matter? So the Flint mayor makes about $125,000 annually. It's unclear how long he's been driving this vehicle, but for a bigger picture, Flint's per capita income within the last year was about $18,719, and 35% of the city lives in poverty. So I think that's where some of this consternation comes from really poor city residents who feel like the mayor, who makes a ton of money, is also taking more public tax dollars.
Anything else to add to this, Scott?
I have 5 to 6 more records requests that have been delayed or are pending with the city of Flint, and those should bring some very interesting numbers. The city of Flint also, I requested all police settlement payouts from 2020 to 2023. And the city straight up said no. They denied my request. They said, we do not have this already in a list, which is interesting because the cities of Grand Rapids and Detroit gave me all of that data for no charge almost instantaneously.
Well, sure. I mean, once again, that would seem like a pretty easy number to come up with. So you've teased me, Scott. Now I have to know, what's the numbers for Grand Rapids and Detroit?
The city of Grand Rapids only paid out, I believe it's $102,000 over those times. I also got East Lansing paid out $380 in police settlements. Meanwhile, the city of Detroit paid out $56 million of police
Holy
settlement
cats.
claims.
Okay, that's a significant amount of money. But that comes with a bit of a caveat. Am I correct? That some of it was paying out people who had actually served lengthy periods of time in the Huskow, and they sued after they got out. So it wasn't as if they incurred those costs in 1 year's time. It's makes up for a much longer period of time, and breaking that down would probably be pretty difficult. And I don't envy you. I don't envy you that job, Scott.
The biggest payments, all $1 million payments. There's a $9.9 million payment, some other $2 to $5 million payments. They were mainly for people who were wrongly convicted of murder, and these people ended up serving decades, some of them decades in prison, between 17 and 25 years in prison. And then the Innocence Project or another people challenged their case, and they ended up getting out and getting a payout. So it is complicated.
Listeners can keep up with these stories and more at thecentersquare.com. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for The Center Square. Please subscribe, and thank you for listening.